Welcome everyone. Today's show will be beating around alternative ways of living. So please join us on this discussion on our Facebook page, Beat Around Radio Show by CEI. You can check the event of the radio of today, Beat Around the Bush, Alternative Lifestyles. Go there, comment, give us your opinion, make your questions, and we will be sharing them live with our special guests of today's show. Our first guest is Christos from Greece, but is actually living in Germany, and he will share with us a bit of his alternative way of living. Is one of the ways that we can think about. If we think about alternative ways of living, there are so many different ways that we could be 1 week here talking about it. But today we will be focused a bit more on eco communities, living maybe in a van, in a boat, or having a different lifestyle while living in a city. To start, I will introduce you to Christos, and you will hear his story.
Hello, I'm Christos Daskalos. I'm coming from Greece, and I live since many years in Germany. At the last 5 years, I have my atelier in a place not so stable. It's in German. It's called Wagenplatz. It means that they are the people living there in a caravan or in a four wheels thing.
Are these kind of places common in Germany? These Wagenplace?
Yeah, you find often this Wagenplace. It's every big city in Germany exists one Wagenplace. There are people that they don't alternative life want. They want alternative life, not to live in an apartment, but living together with other people to organize the life.
So they have the van set in this place, and they live in a kind of a community way. Like sharing. Someone can help another person with some activity or doing activities together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not all positive things. There can be somebody helping the other, somebody's problem for the other. It is also one process of to be better,
to develop and learn. Yes.
To develop better together.
How was it for you having this kind of work? Suddenly, you have your atelier in a very small place. How is the difference?
It's different for me. It's, most is positive. This thing I was before I have had a place in one other building with other persons also atelier, but was not so. I feel this little bit is not with togetherness with the. I was a little bit in distance with now. Then I knew the Wagenplatz people before 5 years. And then one of them was made with this offer. You can come here to Carmen. And then okay, I decided to go there. I take a Bauwagen, like room, like house in one in 4 wheels. I buy one like this, and then I put it there in a place. And then I start to think other because there is not electricity, for example. Then I have also to. But we have everyone have his collector, sun collector. Right? It's so full some auto batteries, so car batteries, and from this we can have everything. Some things we need, not everything,
but the basic.
Some things that everyone needs.
So for you, it was a good change.
It was a good change. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was a very good change because okay, now the place at first the place is very good because it's next to the river. There we get to the river also water. Something. Okay, yeah. And also it's very nice. The trees they are especially in the summer. It's also the nature very nice. So green everything. And this inspires me. But I am outside. I work
Around the
outside.
nature, it helps you in your creativity.
And one is this. The second that is positive for me is that they are also persons that inspire me. That inspire them. My friends from the collective that live there. We inspire one the other with music, so jokes or talkings or everything possible. Also making many people.
Yeah, because I don't know, I have this idea that a lot of times there are artists that live in these. The majority of the persons are artists that live in these kind of communities, and so it's a really nice process for the creativity and to share ideas and for inspiration.
They live also people they have some convention or also something, but they are also they take a place in the creativity for in the yes. Everyone have something special. So other with the music or construct music instruments or we make also some constructions together. How we that make better our lives together. So.
In a way, everyone tries to help with the things that they are good at or they have good skills to improve the whole group. Even if, as you're saying, you can help with a stage or something like that, even if it's not you're making your art piece, but you can help with your skills for the improvement of the community in
Exactly.
a whole.
That is good feeling. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's good feeling from everyone. That see often. I see often. So that person should they want to do something for the others also.
To feel that you're doing it because you like it and you want to do it, not because it's a obligation.
That one because you asked before what other for me was good with Wagenplatz because people passing from there they visit. As I have one open exhibition, everyone can pass from there because it's public place.
Yes, it's not a
So
closed
they can,
community. It's a different way of living. Even if not living there, you still have the alternative lifestyle of working and being a part of the community.
I am it one, I am there also.
Yes,
Kind of way because mental.
exactly. But would you imagine yourself living there full time?
Yeah, of course. Of course. And sometimes also I sleep there, stay there sometimes also, especially in the summer. Yeah, I can imagine. But moment already this apartment. So
Yes, for sure you can imagine, but now you have your place and it's okay also. Is that not everyone needs to 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 live in the same way.
Thank you so much, Christos, for sharing your experience with us about living in a van or in a caravan in this community way. To our listeners, we share the Christos Place, so you can check it on our Facebook page and explore a little bit and have a better idea how is it. But today we want to explore more alternative lifestyles, and for that, I'm really happy to have with me on the show today Pedro Serra. He is a Portuguese filmmaker
Hello.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. This is really good weather here in Bulgaria. I don't know how it is in
Also here in
Portugal.
Portugal, yeah. Sunny
Okay,
day.
sunny days. So that's really good. So I was presenting you, and I was saying that you're a filmmaker, and that you have I believe that you have a special interest in this topic, since your documentaries are
Yeah, I do.
exactly about this. Um and I remember the first time I watched your documentary, Uma Estranha Forma de Vida, in English, What a Strange Way of Life.
Mhm.
It was really, really interesting. Uh,
Thank you.
and it made me think about, and I was exploring communities, and I was doing all of these things, but I've never experienced this life. I will, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Uh, and the first question I wanted to ask you is the why. Why did this topic came to your mind? Why did you
Mhm.
want to explore and share about these alternatives ways of living
Mhm.
with other people?
All right. So yeah, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really glad to be with you here, and congratulations to. It's very important to approach those subjects, and that's the reason for me that I did this. So in 2012, I get to know about Cabron, the first community I approach in this documentary, What a Strange Way of Life, and I didn't know that such communities were in Portugal. So this one is a really small one, only 14 people at that time. It's in the north of Portugal, and I thought it was really interesting. It was an abandoned village, and this group of people came there to start to rebuild the village, to work in the gardens, and to have a simple life. So I started to search more about this, and I knew that I wanted to do a documentary about this, but only about this community. So I started with this one, Cabrum. Then I wanted to show that this is also possible in a city. So I went to Barcelona, and I was also doing interviews in a Cooperativa Integral Catalana. So it's a community in the center of Barcelona, like 100 meters from Sagrada Familia, which is impressive. They have their own coin. They have a garden in the rooftop of the building. It's impressive. It's really interesting. And then I ended with the oldest one, which is Tamera, in the south of Portugal as well, with 44 years old. Started in Germany, so they are 80% Germans there. And then they moved after 20 years, about 20 years, they moved to Portugal, and now they are in close to Odmira in Alentejo, now for 24 years, I guess, and they are living 200 people in there.
Yeah, it's huge
It's
compared.
huge. It is, yeah.
Um, this documentary, it was in which year that you made it?
So I was shooting in 2014, and came out in the next year, so 2015.
15.
Yeah, and now I'm just last year I just did my second feature film called Wasted Waste.
Yeah, we will talk about it.
Okay.
But still in the eco communities.
Yeah, sure.
It's everything related, actually. But I was wondering, because when I was discussing with Christos, this idea came to my mind that a lot of times the persons that live in these communities, they are artists, or I don't know, they have some kind of knowledge in permaculture or sustainable ways of agriculture. And I don't know, the contact that you had with the persons that you interview for the documentary, did you notice the same thing, or it's just like my personal perception?
So your question is if
The
all the
persons.
people are like linked, like art, they are artists and are connected to permaculture projects and that stuff.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. That's an interesting question, but I never thought about that. But I don't think so. I also met so many people that they come also from really simple backgrounds, you know, like from villages, and they are like carpenters, or they used to work in construction, and they just don't fit in a city lifestyle, you know, in an urban lifestyle, and they bring their knowledge to the community. But that's true. There are lots of artists. That's also true. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I wonder, oh, okay, this is so interesting, but I don't know. I don't have knowledge in this. I don't know anything about permaculture or agriculture, or I'm not an artist, or how can I contribute for a community?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Or I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know any handicraft or something like that. Do
No, yeah, but the thing is, everyone is important. So you will find your way to help the community. So many times, people are a bit lost, like you are saying, like, oh, how can I help, or how can I improve the community with my skills? I don't have any special skill, and then people find the how to say, like, the
vocação.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, I don't know.
the things
But
that
yeah, that
someone
make them.
like want to do, they find that in the community. People, so many people, they didn't know that they were so good with children, for example, and then with the contact with children, they find it, and they help the community with that. Or sometimes people never worked in a garden, and they learn it, and then they love it, and then they improve the skills, and it happens like that. You don't need to be an expert to import your skills to the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's about.
You also can improve your own skills there, and learn with other
Learning.
people. That's the community life. You will learn with the community, and the community must be tolerant with you and accept you, and that's how it works.
Yeah, I noticed that it's growing a lot in Portugal. There,
Yeah, true.
it's like mushrooms. I don't know, which is, I think it's good. But I was wondering, since 2015, did you still have contact with the persons that are living there, or
Yes, some of them, yeah. I know that now in Kaboom, when I was there, only already 2 children were born, so in 2 years, which was really beautiful, because it was an abandoned village, and for more than 40 years, no one was born in there. So in 2 years,
already?
they
Yes.
yeah, they gave a life to this space. So it was like very beautiful. And now I know that there are more people living there, more than 20, I guess. And other people just quit, or other people came. Now they have 4 children. And yeah, I think they are going pretty good. Tamere, yeah, of course, it's a big one. So yeah,
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, they are doing very well, of course.
Yes, they are already
Not so
very
much
well
with
set.
Barcelona, yeah, but yeah.
Because today I was also wondering about this. If this is growing a lot, a lot of these communities, they are self-sustainable in a way that they grow their own food,
Yeah.
and they share their skills, but also sometimes they do workshops, and people come, and this is a way to
Yeah.
get some income that they can use for the community and to
Yeah.
grow. And I was thinking, well, maybe this will grow so much that it will be more difficult to how can I say to
To be off the grid.
yes, a bit. I was
Yeah, yeah,
reflecting on this.
I can agree, but I think that's not the aiming. I think the wish is always to create a new form of living in self-sufficiency. So it's not making money, and sometimes those workshops, as you were saying, it's just to make money for what they cannot build
Produce.
or get by themselves. And yeah, I know what you mean, but I don't think this is the biggest problem, for the community.
Well, and from what I notice, they even being in a community, they always contact with each other, right? The different communities, they know, they share, they
Yeah.
go to another community, share some knowledge, and then someone comes, and there is also a huge community that is the communities, and that's really good.
Yeah, I can give you the example of Tamari, for example. So they are 100% self-sufficient in water, for example. They are 80% self-sufficient in energy, in terms of energy, and they are 20% in food. And the other 80%, some they buy and some they make exchanges with neighbors as well, or between small communities around. And they also can make some income sometimes with workshops and the summer school they have also during the summer university. But that's more to spread the knowledge than to make money. They still need a bit of little money, also to improve the buildings and other technology they have. But I think this is all linked. I think it's just to also do a good thing to the community around, not just for themselves. They are not closed, and this is very important.
Yeah, to have an open community. But
Yeah, exactly.
normally, what is your knowledge about this? Normally, these eco communities, they are open, right? Mainly, or
Not so
not?
much. I think the majority are not so open.
Oh,
For example, Cabrun, it's not open at all. I was spending more or less 1 week in each community. I was living with them there, not just filming. Not I didn't come and started to film in 1 or 2 days. I was with them, learning with them, and working with them, cooking with them, to have this proximity with them. And Cameroon, they are not so open, but because they want to have privacy. They don't want. They were a bit. I don't know how it works now, but they were a bit afraid to be like a.
exposed or
Yeah,
criticized
exactly.
in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes it's so easy to pass the wrong image.
Yeah, people have different perceptions, and then
Exactly.
it starts growing ball,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah, exactly.
complicated. Yeah, actually, well, you answered a little bit my next question, but anyway, because I wanted to know if you experience also living in eco communities. So, as you said, during the project and that where you were filming,
Yeah,
you
filming,
live
yeah.
in the three different ones. But
Yeah.
before that, have you ever experienced it?
Never. No.
Okay.
Was the first. Yeah, was the first. Was the first time that I was in a community like this. Yeah.
So it's really very interesting. It was
Yeah. It
really
was like for me the first contact, and I wanted to give this also to the audience. So I was yeah, like a bit, I don't know, ignorant about this as well.
And yes, of course, so you were getting some more knowledge to share. And you decided to share it is because you had a good experience, I believe.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, of course. Yes. But you know, as I said, I was 1 week, more or less 1 week in each community. And 1 week in there looks like 1 month in the outside world. Because you are always in contact with the people, and your ego is always being challenged. When you live in a city or in your daily life, you can be with thousands of people in a day, and you can feel alone. You don't need to talk with anyone. You can go to work, and in the way to work, you can see so many people, and you can come home and you already saw so many people, and you didn't talk with anyone. You didn't interact with anyone. In a community like this, and especially in a small one, you wake up and you will cook together, you will work together, you build together, you do everything together. So the time, in the end of the day, the time is like, the perception of time, it's much different because it's so intense that your perception is completely different.
Yeah, it's like you're involved like 100% during
Exactly.
all the time.
Interacting all the time, and that's I
Yeah.
think that's why, because you are human, so more than the cultural differences, I think our big ego traps are the majority of the problem for everything, and that's why 90% of the communities break apart in the first 2 years.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, as you were saying, because it's not for everyone to live in this kind of way.
Yeah, and most important, I think, we all always need a system, even if it's okay. We don't have a system. This is a system, so
Yes,
you need to have a way to.
a rule to be alternative.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes, okay, it's for you to live in a community like this, but maybe not that one, or maybe not that one, maybe the other one. So because it's between no community is the same of other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the systems are changed between them, and sometimes people are not able to share that system. For example, for me, I'm more like, I see myself, for example, in Tamera or in other ones. But for example, I'm saying Tamera because they have a system
Very
where you can be
organized.
free, but you have a system with the schedule. You have time to eat, you have time to work, and I see myself like this, you know.
Yeah.
So it depends about each one, and most important is you need to be tolerant, and you need to accept, and you just need to, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Tolerance.
yeah. I think you never know, but after you try, you see how you feel and how you interact with the others. And because the idea, when you move to a community like this, is because you want to feel better, and so that's the goal, is that you feel part of the community and contributing. And if that is not happening in somehow, maybe it's better to choose another one or another
Yeah,
way.
sure. That's also why Tamera, they have like a period. If you wanna live there, you have a period. I don't remember if it's like 1 month or 2 or 3, for the adaptation. Because so many people are like, yeah, I wanna go there. It's so nice. I saw a documentary about this and it's amazing, blah blah. And then after 1 week, they are happy. After 2 weeks, they are not so excited. And then they say, okay, this is not for me, you know. So they have these periods.
It makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
I was remembering, I think in Auroville in India, it's 1 year. So
Yeah.
if you want to be a part of the community, you need to stay there first for 1 year
Exactly.
to experience it, and then you can apply to be a part of
Yeah, to be a
the
resident. Yeah,
community.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
makes totally sense,
it
of
makes
course.
sense, yeah.
Hmm.
But when we talk about these communities, the first thing that comes in our minds always is somewhere in a village or in the nature. And
Hmm.
as you said, and in your first documentary, this was also the example of the city, of the cooperative, I don't know in English.
Yeah.
Anyway, but actually we talk about this in in another radio show, in the previous radio show, because one of other volunteer was setting a market here, and we were talking about initiatives without money, and
Ah, cool.
we give this example. But now passing a bit to the city life, because a lot of people still live in the cities, but they have alternative lifestyles. And this leads to also your second documentary. I think it's a bit related with how can we have an alternative lifestyle living in a city. There are a lot of different things, but I would like to talk about freeganism and dumpster diving, and to understand a little bit what is this and what are maybe something doesn't, because a lot of times people connect. Oh yeah, to be freegan, like a freeganism is the same as dumpster diving, and
It's not, yeah.
it's not exactly the same.
And many
So
people think that, yeah.
can you tell us a little bit what is this for the listeners that never heard about these words, so they can understand what we are talking about?
Yeah, sure. As you said, it happens more in cities because of dumpster diving, like you said. So, freeganism is the mix of the words free and vegan. So it started. This movement started in San Francisco in the 60s during the Vietnam War. People that was against the war and the money spent on it, and all the resources, etc. So those people, they were like a group of vegan people with anti-capitalist ideals, and they used to collect food in good conditions from the trash, especially from supermarkets. In the end of the day, you have so many good food in good conditions that they cannot sell in the next day. And they started to share nice vegan meals in the streets for free. That's why they were called freegans, because they also try to live without money, and they aim to be self-sufficient. So this is the background of freeganism. And in this documentary I did last year called Wasted Waste, I was approaching some of the people that are doing this in Portugal as well.
I noticed that in America it's wide. I've seen some documentaries, and there's a lot of people doing it. How is it in Portugal?
Not many people, yeah, for sure. In California, it started like in the 60s, so they have a huge background. In Portugal, there are people doing this, yeah, but not so many. I noticed that almost of them, they know each other. but
And
but yeah, it's growing because it's not, so many people think that they are doing this for because they need. And when I was filming with them, it happened so many times. We were in trash cans in Lisbon, and so many, so much food in good conditions, so many things in the end of the day in supermarkets, and it's illegal to collect it, and people were passing and judging and saying bad things to us because we were
collecting food from the trash.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a total taboo. I think
It's a total taboo, exactly.
and but it's important also to understand this. and I can understand if my mother sees someone collecting trash from the bin, she would be a bit shocked. And to how would you explain, because people have concerns on the health and the safetiness of eating something that was thrown. How can, I don't know, have you, as you've been with the persons that were collecting, how do they do it to make sure, or if they can make sure that it's safe to eat this kind of food, or if it's like clean or something?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do they do this?
Well, so when packages are open and when it smells like the bad or something like that, they don't bring it, and sometimes they are not sure if some vegetables are clean, so they just boil it at home. Yeah, that's the things they usually do. But so many things that there are so many things that are in packages, and you can see it's not out of date, and it's in perfect conditions. It happens lots of time. But so many times also, they open the packages and they put some products just to make sure that no one collect it, and that's it. Yeah.
Oh, so it's a kind of strategy to prevent
Yes.
the
Yes.
dumpster diving?
Yes. Completely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Normally, if a person goes dumpster diving, it's right away after the supermarket close or something like that, to be more fresh, right? Also,
Yeah.
yeah, as you said, it's illegal, and I remember, I think it was in Finland, they even lock the trash bins. So
Yeah. Also in Portugal. Yeah.
also in Portugal. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It happens a lot. And when in Portugal, there is a political party, PAN. You
yeah.
know for sure, and they propose to be mandatory, like in France and Italy. They do it now, to be mandatory. The food in good conditions. Okay, they cannot sell. They have their reasons, but they are obligated to give it to associations, like charity associations.
Yeah, that's really it should be like that, because
Yeah.
of course, if the persons that are doing dumpster diving, if they could get this food in another situation, they would not go to the trash. It's just because it's being wasted there, and maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Some people really need it, or some. What are the motivations? Some people, maybe it's because it's free, but maybe some other people have other motivations.
No, the biggest motivation is because why should we just waste that? Because it's in good conditions, and we are producing. You know that 1/3 of the food we are producing
It's going.
is going to trash.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Just for because of the shape of that tomato is not in a perfect shape, or the color or the texture and that stuff. It happens like 1/3 of the food in all worlds. So it's like so we have people dying without food, and then we are producing food that are going to trash. It's illogical.
It's mind blowing.
And
It's really frustrating when we think
let me
about
just
it.
say that this
Yeah.
proposal was rejected by all other parties.
Yeah, I don't understand this.
So it's completely
yeah,
illogical.
Yeah, it's totally illogical. Especially because even we already in Portugal, we already have the ReFood, when
Food, the fire, yeah.
when you can grab some from the restaurants and distribute to people that need.
Yeah.
But in the supermarkets, there probably some capitalism.
Yeah, sure. Because
it's a private.
if you go to the trash, you are not buying these, and that's what they don't want. They want profit, so
Yeah.
you need to buy. and if you go to collect a nice bread from the trash, you not go to buy bread in the next day.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why.
yeah.
So it's all about money, and yeah.
Yeah, when you go to big companies, it's way more complicated. Uh, I was
You know, there is sorry that
Sure, sure.
just to finish this, when one of the Frigans that I did an interview in this documentary, they say a really nice thing. How is it? It's like it's not wrong to collect food from the trash. What is wrong is to throw things in good conditions to the
to the
trash.
trash. Yeah, that is true.
So
it's
yeah,
true.
but in our society, the taboo is completely the opposite. When we see someone collecting food from the trash, you are like, oh, yeah, you know, like
Yeah, the thing is, of course, the person would not collect it if it was not there. That's the problem, is that it's
yeah,
there.
exactly, yeah,
The change needs to come from the 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 previous step.
exactly, yeah, exactly.
But well, we are talking about dumpster diving, of course. But I just wanted to make sure that this gets clear for the listeners, because also when you're a freegan, it's also related. I was reading about it. I think you can occupy a building, or you can use even a community garden. In some cities, they exist, and they can be freegans without doing dumpster diving.
Yeah.
There are other ways. Even I think
the
even
aim is
hitchhiking.
always to be self-sufficient. Yeah, exactly.
Even hitchhiking, I think it's related to this. So it's thinking all about being self-sufficient. That's it. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. That's the aiming, and many people do this question. So freegans are depending of the waste of our society, because people think that freegans are only the people that are collecting this food, but it's not. They are just collecting this because it's wrong to be in the trash, and the main goal is always to be self-sufficient and to grow our own food and to produce our own things and to build our own stuff, do it yourself, etc., and to share with the community. That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not just about the food. It's about the whole
Everything.
the
Of
whole
course. Yeah, it's
life.
it's an anti-capitalist concept. So it's
You would-
everything you need to buy. So you don't buy. You try to build it or to
find used like furniture or a place to stay.
reuse, to recycle old stuff, and to give a new life to the things. Yeah.
And share. Actually, today I also came to me this time bank in Porto, where they share. Imagine, okay, you're good cooking, so you go there and you show that you have time to teach someone how to cook, and another person is good on carpenter or something like that. And if you need a carpenter and you want to learn how to cook, you can share this, and these are really interesting initiatives also related to this.
True. More and more initiatives like this
are growing, right? Which is good, because maybe more people will be aware, and maybe
exactly.
we will
People
not
just need to be
do
inspired.
to go to the trash. Like that would be the goal, to not need to go to the trash, because there would be other ways for preventing the food to go there. Another lifestyle that really interests me, it's the minimalism, and maybe you could make another documentary in 1 year or something about it. Because
there is a new one also. I didn't watch yet. You know, it's called minimalism. And
yeah. I've seen the trailers, but I haven't watched it. But I will.
Yeah. I'm very curious about it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially well, this is minimalism is a concept. It's art and architecture. I think it comes from architecture and art concept,
Yes,
but now
yes.
it's adapted to living also. And um, especially the one that interests me more, it's the one that's related with this Zen Buddhism, because you go really deep into it and you have really less possessions, just a few clothes. Also, you can practice this as your diet, like a minimalist diet.
Yeah, you
Just
design your life to the minimal.
to
Yeah.
exactly, it's really interesting, and I think it's also interesting way, alternative way to live in a city
Yeah.
for someone that I don't know, has like a job and has a place, wants to have an apartment,
Yeah.
or even with a family, and don't want to do any other alternative way of living. It's really interesting and probably challenging also. Um, would you be able to live like this?
Yeah, I'm trying to reduce so many things in that I just now I'm aware that I don't need, and I'm trying to always every day to find things that I don't need and to give up from that. Let me just say that in my last documentary, I was in doing an interview to a guy that he was a very successful. They used to be a successful businessman with a nice company, with a nice income, with a nice big car, and he just gave up from everything to live like this. And he bought an old house that he's rebuilding close to Porto, north of Portugal. And he said to me, today we can live with the resources that 1 century ago only kings used to have. And for us today, that's a poor life because it's never enough. We need more and more and to buy new things, and what we got today, it's not enough tomorrow. It's obsolete tomorrow, and we need to buy more or to get more, and that's not true happiness. I think true happiness is when we are free, as much free as we can. And I think that's about it, yeah. Otherwise, we are slaves of consumerism, slaves of our own egos.
Yeah, it's a really good reflection for all of us to do, is to think about this, how we are dependent on
Exactly, yeah.
material things, and how we can challenge ourselves in different ways in our lives,
Yeah,
to
it only
understand
happens
where
because we are.
this
Sorry?
just a bit to understand where does this happiness comes from, if it's like real or if it's just like a consumist or something like that. So
Yeah,
it's really
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah.
For me personally, after traveling, I understood that there are so many things that I don't need.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's so much easier if you have less things, because you can
Yeah,
move
sure.
you can pack really fast,
Yeah.
and it gives you more freedom. But it depends. Everyone is different. I was
Sure.
reading about someone that was practicing minimalism, and he was saying that one of the biggest challenges was to the books, because he had a lot of books.
Yeah.
But it depends on person to person. He felt it was really difficult, but in the end, he felt light, and he felt free, because it's still a possession. But
See,
sometimes
yeah,
we
that's
attach
true.
more to
There
certain
are
things than
solutions all the
others.
time, yeah. There are always solutions. You can just share with your community and put the books
Yeah,
like at the disposal to
to
your
everyone.
neighbors, or
Hmm.
I don't know. There are always solutions, I think. We just need to look to the things that we have and think how we can optimize our life. That's why it's like to redesign our lives to the minimal. Yeah, that's why it started in architecture, as you said before.
Yeah, it's a design.
It's all about design.
Yeah, but now it's more with less aesthetics and a bit more with the meaning. Because I think the main goal is for you to have more free time to
Yeah,
be
true.
with
Yeah, of
people,
course.
to do what you like, and
Exactly. Yeah, time is everything in our
yeah.
life, and that's why also in my last documentary I approach the time bank. I don't know if you know what is this. So you don't use the coin. You just the currency is time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Say.
no, just because in the end of the documentary I present some solutions, and one of the conclusions is that time is the most precious things we have. It's our life. It's time. It's all about time, and we don't have time in in our daily lives. We don't have time because we work 8 hours. We have 1 hour to have lunch. We lose 1 hour or 2 hours in the traffic to go to work. Then we came home and we need to and we have our tasks at home. We don't have time for ourselves. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, it's
our
it's
lives.
true. The time is all we have actually, and if even if you think about money, the money that you have, it's not money. It's the time that you spend
Exactly. Yeah, I
getting
was
it
just
right.
thinking about that. Yeah.
It's human documentary.
Yeah, I recommend it for sure.
It's a really good one and very yeah, it's totally recommended.
Mujica, the last president of Uruguay.
Yes,
Did it.
it's a really good, really amazing sharing that he did. Okay, I think we are finishing our time here. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for sharing all of these with us. And when is this last documentary be out?
So now we are doing some presentations, not only in Portugal but around, and it will be online probably in the end of the year.
Okay.
In September or October, probably. Yeah, will come out.
Anyway, we will share in our page the What a Strange Way of Life. It's already
Online,
available online, and also the trailer for this new documentary. And we hope that everyone enjoyed our discussion. Thank you again. Our next, as you know, our listeners already know, you can find in our Facebook page about the next shows, what will be the topics. We will let you know during the week. The shows are always at Tuesday at 6 p.m. Bulgarian time. Supported by the Erasmus Plus program, because we are doing EVS. I know that you also did it. And just try to think a little bit about your lives. If you want to make some changes to make them a bit more sustainable, there are a lot of ways, some more alternatives, some less, but it's always possible to make some change. So to our listeners, that's what I want to give you today. It's to reflect a little bit about how you're living and maybe make some little changes to make your life better and also the world better. So thank you everyone to listen to us, and have a nice day.